Well, last year in the conference in Bristol, we had for the first time a session, as well as the interesting speakers about other topics, we had for the first time a session about some of the BHA's work, and it was so popular on the feedback form that we decided it was a sort of session that we could do again. So today we're going to be thinking about the BHA's community services work. So for the first time we brought together in a new team our education work, our pastoral support work and our ceremonies work under a new director of community services. It's an extremely exciting development for the BHA. We're going to hear some more about that from the different members of the team, and there'll be plenty of time for questions and discussion. I'll introduce now Teddy Prout, who is our new Director of Community Services. You've spotted him as the chair of some of our sessions in the conference already, but please do now welcome him to the lectern.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here at my first BHA conference. It was clear last year that the BHA was engaged in several activities that had a common purpose. Serving people in the community, in settings or in institutions each day, to enable people to express themselves as humanist, non-religious, to explore what that means and to celebrate their worldview. These services also had a common function which would enable the British Humanist Association to support these services in their growth and development. High quality training, continuing professional development and successful advertising and marketing, along with strong interactions with professional bodies. And so the Department of Community Services was formed to bring together the heads of the various services here today and the numerous dedicated volunteers out there doing the work in the community day after day into a single team, one that I now have the honour of leading as its director. To explain the detail of each of these, I'm now going to invite, by turn, each of the heads of service to talk about the purpose and values of their respective service, starting with Isabel Russo, the head of ceremonies.
Thank you, Teddy. Can you hear me okay? Good morning, everybody. Congratulations for making it this morning. It's very impressive. So, I'm head of ceremonies, and for the last 8 years, both as a celebrant and as head of ceremonies, I've been engaged with providing and developing non-religious ceremony and ritual in Britain. It's been an absolutely fascinating journey, and Teddy talks about purpose and value, and certainly in my experience as a celebrant, that was really good groundwork for recognising the value of what we do. How many celebrants are here this morning? Great, wonderful, wonderful. So many of you, that's fantastic. Our structures are made up to reflect input, as much input as possible from the network, and so we have all the members of our Ceremony Celebrant Board here today who've been absolutely pivotal in helping us achieve a huge amount of work in the last few years. To go back to the value of what we do, I believe strongly that human beings have an innate need for ritual. We need to mark those profound times of transition in our lives with words and with actions that have meaning and authenticity to us. And we need to have those words and actions witnessed by people who have meaning and authenticity to us. And when that people or person isn't God, it is, of course, the people who are our friends and our family, the people who birthed us, got drunk with us, picked us up, and all the rest of those things. Picked us up, that's interesting. You know what I mean. So, it was an interesting journey. I could talk forever, actually, so it's just going to be an atom to ape talk in 4 minutes. I definitely saw the need for ritual, for non-religious ritual, and what particularly struck me as a celebrant, I suppose, the moments where it really, really struck home that non-religious ceremony worked was in the most difficult cases. For instance, a funeral case where a mother had her son, her only son, who was 24, was murdered by his neighbour when he was out for a drink celebrating the imminent birth of his child. and she was devastated, just beside herself with grief. And the work we were able to do together in helping her to articulate what she was feeling and what she needed and who he was for her and who he would continue to be for her was instrumental then at the end of the whole process and the funeral for her to come up to me and say, I never knew you existed. What you have done is beyond words. It's extraordinary. You have helped me so much. And those kind of words really stay with me in my role now as head of ceremonies. So, as head of ceremonies, in the last few years, we've been working, well, in the last year, I'll keep it to a year because we've only got a minute left, our focus very much is on developing the professionality and the quality around the network and our ceremonies provision, and around our training, which is a key part of what we do. So every year we train new celebrants to become part of our network and to work in a collegiate way. We are also working on developing the structure of the network of celebrants so that we could administer to them and support them more effectively. And we're also looking at new areas of provision. So Hannah, who's here today, was instrumental in doing lots of work on the research and development of a whole area of pre-need provision, which is great because it's on the whole grassroots thing that's happening in death, which is encouraging people to talk about death before it happens to them. So encouraging people to think about what they want for their funeral, to share with those people closest to them what their needs might be, whether they're suffering from a terminally ill disease or whether it's just they want to have that conversation. So that's something that we're going to be piloting later on this year, hopefully, and then looking at delivering next year. We've also been working to support defence humanists to provide the first ever secular remembrance ceremony in November, which really speaks to the need of those non-religious people who say in the future might be in a position where they've given their lives and then are remembered in a totally inappropriate religious ceremony, remembered by people who think that they are burning in hell. So this is a profoundly important piece of work that we're doing and that we're developing. I think that's all I've got time to say. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Luke Donnellan. I'm the Head of Education at the BHA. And the first question we get asked is why should we teach humanism? Why should we be teaching humanism in schools? And as many of you are aware now, about half the country declares itself to be non-religious, and that figure gets higher and higher the younger you get. So clearly a significant number of children in schools today come from a non-religious background. And so if teaching about beliefs, religion, meaning, value is going to be inclusive and relevant to those young people, it must include teaching about humanism. All young people, religious or non-religious, deserve guidance on ways to discover truth, meaning and value in their lives, and how to judge the difference between right and wrong. Children from religious backgrounds need to understand what it means to be non-religious, what it means to live your life as a humanist, for the sake of social cohesion and mutual respect. And those children who are non-religious, come from non-religious backgrounds, need to be made aware that they're not alone, that there are millions of people like them who share their beliefs and their values, and that being non-religious doesn't deny you the right or the responsibility to lead an ethical, happy and meaningful life. There's also obviously huge intrinsic value to learning about humanism for young people as well. Anybody here who spent 5 minutes in any of the different lectures we've experienced this weekend can see the incredible breadth and depth of the subject. It allows young people the opportunity to learn from 2,500 years of human endeavour to understand our world and ourselves from a non-religious perspective. It's contributed huge amounts to the history and the culture of this country, and from ancient Greece, China and India through to modern secularisation and the UN Declaration of Human Rights. It gives children the opportunity to explore and take on a rich and complex intellectual challenge that can contribute to their cognitive and cultural development. But it seems obvious then why we should be teaching humanism in schools, but of course, why then isn't it happening? Why are teachers not teaching about humanism? And one of the biggest reasons is an absence of subject knowledge about humanism, and a lack of resources. So that's why our aim at the BHA is to ensure that we provide a wide range of high-quality educational resources and make them available to all school students as part of a broad and balanced curriculum to ensure that they receive excellent and accurate teaching about humanism, and to make sure all teachers are trained, equipped and confident to be able to deliver such teaching. Many of you hopefully will be aware that we've recently launched a new website called understandinghumanism.org.uk, which, following consultation, we've produced a wide range of new teaching resources on there, lesson plans, classroom activities, presentations, videos, humanist perspectives, and a wide range of different topics. We've also launched a new Twitter feed at Humanism Edu to run alongside that and be another voice for communication with teachers, educators, and those interested in finding out more about humanism. We've had more page views of the website in the first month than our previous education website had in the whole of last year. We've also had incredibly positive feedback, both from teachers, from schools in the UK and outside the UK. We've even had a request from the Swedish humanists have asked whether they can translate all our resources into Swedish. They like them so much. We also have a fantastic team of school speakers who do wonderful work going into schools and talking about humanism to young people. We've run training courses across England. We've recently run a course in Wales. We've got a course coming up in Belfast later on this month as well. And we've produced lots of new resources to be able to support them. And so because of some of the fantastic work they've been doing, they've been able to talk to approaching 10,000 children in schools across the UK. We also aim to provide CPD for teachers, both teachers going through initial teacher training and those teachers already on the job, to assist them with subject knowledge and provide guidance to teachers in schools about ways they can include humanism in their syllabus. There's obviously lots more that needs to be done. Not enough children even know the word humanism. Too many are still unaware of what the word is, what it means, and many are missing out on non-religious perspectives on many of life's biggest questions. But thanks to the work of our school speakers, thanks to the work of all the other volunteers that assist me, thanks to your support, we are beginning to make a difference. We're working towards that goal of ensuring that all young people have the opportunity to learn about humanism, and working towards that goal of opening the minds of the next generation and celebrating both the personal pleasures and the societal benefits that brings. Thank you. I'm going to hand over now to our Head of Pastoral Support, Simon O'Donoghue.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Luke. If it sounded a little bit croaky this morning, it was a late night networking last night, and so please bear with me. The BHA's Pastoral Care Service provides support to non-religious people at times of crisis, in places where that has often never been there before. We have a number of highly skilled carers who offer an invaluable opportunity for non-religious people in a number of public institutions, including healthcare, in prisons, forward-looking into the Ministry of Defence, in universities, to speak with someone who shares their worldview through departments that traditionally have only ever had a religious perspective. For far too long, there's been an incredibly high level of inequality in this area that needs to be addressed. We did some research a couple of years ago in Guy's St Thomas Hospital in London, and we found that the chaplaincy departments within there were actually only 4% of visits to patients were to that of the non-religious. And what that shows us is that pastoral care service isn't meeting the needs of the non-religious in the hospital settings. And this is a consistent thing that we see across the different institutions in which we work. Within 1 year and a half of running courses where we're training and accrediting individuals to deliver this service, we now have nearly 100 pastoral care volunteers who are accessing a number of different institutions all over the UK. And we have plans for more this year, where we'll just continue to train those and build that network of individuals and the number of people accessing institutions and delivering that service. We've recently also set up the non-religious pastoral support network, and this is a means to help us capture all non-religious and not just those who identify as humanists. So when we go into institutions, we can ensure that the greatest number of people are receiving the care that they deserve. It's a very much a two-pronged approach, and a battle to change hearts and minds. We have our dedicated volunteers who go into institutions and address the needs of the patient choice by adding to the pastoral care service that's already available, often through religious chaplaincy departments. And they really have been demonstrating the need for this type of service to those teams. And when I go into these institutions and speak with teams that have never had this service available to them before, they really are starting to see the value of having that additional level of choice within there. Secondly, from a strategic level, we work with a number of different professional bodies, including NHS England, National Offender Management Service, with prisons, to put in place protocol and support our people in accessing these different institutions so they can deliver their care to the people that need it. It's very exciting times at the moment. I've only actually been in post for 4 months, but already we've seen massive changes and a number of different successes moving forward, and we can really start to see the service that we're delivering starting to snowball in a really positive way. Just this week in healthcare, we've seen consistently for a number of years the job adverts that have been put out by hospitals recruiting people to their pastoral care teams has been completely closed off to the non-religious. With the Health Our Policy team, we've been challenging these potential lawful discriminatory adverts, and it looks as if from now on and over the next few months this is really going to be opened up to the possibility of all people being able to apply for these posts and non-religious people being able to work in these departments and running these departments within hospitals. In prisons, we've recently agreed guidance with the National Offender Management Service that will be sent to all chaplaincy departments across the prison service. And what this means is that at the point of entry into the prison, the people who describe themselves as non-religious or none will be shown the way and informed about the non-religious service provision that's available if they so wish to take that up. In universities this week, we've had an absolutely fantastic move forward. As the Deputy Lord Mayor mentioned yesterday in his speech, James Flint, who's our Humanist pastoral care first paid post in Leicester, we now also have a person who will be starting at the University of Westminster as a non-religious advisor there, which is an absolutely fantastic move forward. Of course, there are other areas which we'll continue to look for ways to develop. Our colleagues from the Defence Humanist are helping us. They have a pastoral support committee there, and so we'll be looking forward in the next couple of years to develop in that area. The police, in residential settings, anywhere where support is needed, we'll be looking to develop into those areas. I said we've only got about 5 minutes to talk, so it's quite a big area of work, but I'll just give you a little rundown of some of the successes that we've got. But I would like to just now pass you back to Teddy Prout, who will talk about the rest of the team and what's going on in community services and our plans for the future going forward. Thank you very much.
We're an energetic, chipper bunch, aren't we? Someone asked me last night, were you going to be nervous at all speaking? And I was thinking, well, between 3 former teachers and an actor, I think the chances are unlikely that we're going to be nervous standing up and talking. So, of course, community services doesn't end there. We're seeking to expand new and meaningful ceremonies, taking pastoral care into new settings, and creating resources for adult education and massive open online courses. We also encompass our sections, the stalls at the back, which if you haven't been to see yet, I urge you to go and take a look and find out what it is they do. Serving people who identify as LGBT, defence humanists that serve people who serve themselves in the armed forces, the MOD, and their families. The AHS, who support students in universities, and young humanists who support the next generation of people developing their own ideas about what it means to be a humanist. We also have our dialogue work, which, for those of you who were fortunate to see the session yesterday, is overseen by Jeremy Riddell, connecting and opening discussions between religious people and the non-religious. And we are working closely, as you heard, incredibly articulately put yesterday, with those who have identified the intense need presented by those who face persecution, distress and violence for the basic human right to leave your religion. And that's why we are so proud to be working alongside Faith to Faithless, from whom you heard last night. We want to thank you for your support, your time and your money, without which these services simply would not exist. We would also invite you, and you will see websites and email addresses on the screen in a moment, if you wish to become involved as a school speaker, as a pastoral support worker, or as a celebrant in our dialogue work, to come and speak to us or email us to get involved. And finally, we look to the horizons, and we're actively planning for the services that we know are not being delivered, to meet the needs currently being ignored for the next generation of the non-religious. Through our pilots, our projects and research, we aim to be there for the non-religious when we are needed most, in times of great joy and great sorrow, in moments of crisis and celebration, to explore the belief of others and affirm our own. Thank you.